Good morning, guys, and welcome to another video. So, as we're continuing our chapter 1, so let's start. Not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggins. Bungo. That was Bilbo's father built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her, and partly like her money, that was to be found either under the hills or over the hill or across the water, and there they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probably that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his make-up from the Took side, something that only waited for a chance to come out. The chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described of you, until he had in fact apparently settled down immovably. By some curious chance, one morning long ago, in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Baggins standing at his door after breakfast, smoking an enormous long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes, Gandalf came by. Gandalf! If you had heard only a quarter of what I have heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, you would be prepared for any sort of remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way under the hills for ages and ages. Now, since his friends the old oak died, in fact, and the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like, he was been away over the hills and across the water on businesses of his own, since they were all small boys and hobbit girls. All the unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall pointed blue hat, a long grey cloak, a silver scarf over which his long beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining, and the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not, or that you good this morning, or that is a morning to be good on?" "All of them at once," said Bilbo, "and a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors into the bargain. If you have a pipe fit, you sit down and have a fill of mine. There's no hurry. We have all the day before us." Then Bilbo sat down on a seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out a beautiful grey ring of smoke that sailed up into the air without breaking and floated away over the hill. "Very pretty," said Gandalf, "but I have no time to reply to blow smoke rings this morning. I am looking for someone to share in an adventure that I am arranging, and it's very difficult to find anyone." "I should think so, in these parts. We are plain quiet folk, and have no use for adventure. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner? I can't think what anybody sees in that. said our Mr. Baggins, and stuck one thumb behind his braces and blew out another even bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read, pretending to take no more notice of the old man. He had decided that he was not quite his sort and wanted him to go away, but the old man did not move. He stood leaning on his stick, gazing at the hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quiet, uncomfortable, and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water." But this he meant that the conversation was at an end. "What a lot of things you do use good morning for," said Gandalf. "Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, and then it won't be good till I move off." "Not at all, not at all, my dear sir. Let me see. I don't think I know your name." Yes, my dear sir, and I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins, and you do know my name. Though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think that I should have lived to be good morninged by Belladonna Tuxson as if I was selling buttons at the door. Gandalf, good gracious me! Not the wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and the unexpected luck of widow's son. Not the man that used to make such particularly excellent fireworks. I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid! They used to go up like snapdragons and laburnums of fire and hang in the twilight at evening. You will notice already that Baggins was not quite so prosy as he liked to believe. Also that he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on. Not the Gandalf who was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off in the blue from the mad adventures. Anything from the climbing trees to visit elves or sailing in ships, sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quite inter. I mean, you used to upset things badly in these parts once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I have no idea you were still in business. So guys, we'll just read till here, and tomorrow we will read more, and then we'll continue our chapter, and we'll finish this chapter in 5 days, and then we'll start chapter 2. So for that,